Alexandria, 30 BC. The city stands on the brink of ruin. In the royal palace, Cleopatra the Sea-Vain, the last pharaoh of Egypt, steels herself for dawn. Rome's armies close in. Her empire is lost, her allies defeated. Yet Cleopatra refuses to bow, and her final act of defiance will echo through the ages. By nightfall, the world will know if this queen meets her end in surrender, or in legend. Cleopatra gazes out from a balcony at the first light over Alexandria's harbor. This was once her kingdom, won through courage and cunning. She charmed Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, but now, on her final day, that glory hangs by a thread. Octavian, Julius Caesar's ambitious heir, has marched on Egypt. His legions camp outside the city walls, ready to make Egypt a trophy of Rome. Inside the palace, Cleopatra holds her children close. She has already sent her eldest son, Caesarion, toward the Red Sea, in a desperate bid to save him. Her younger children cling to her. She knows the Romans will show no mercy to her bloodline. As morning unfolds, Cleopatra consults her closest advisors. They speak of a hidden mausoleum filled with her treasures, a fortified chamber that could serve as her final refuge. Cleopatra has stockpiled gold, jewels, and art in that tomb. If Octavian takes the city, she plans to deny him the satisfaction of parading Egypt's wealth or its queen in his Roman triumph. Better to end it all on her own terms than to march in chains behind his chariot. That grim plan steels her resolve, yet doubt gnaws at her. Will she have the courage when the moment comes? Her fingers graze a bracelet etched with an asp, the symbol of deadly venom. In Egyptian lore, the asp's bite brings swift death. Cleopatra remembers this. She quietly orders a servant to bring her a simple basket of figs. The request seems odd, but no one questions the queen. Cleopatra's dark eyes glint with purpose. She will not go quietly. What secret plan is the queen weaving? As the sun climbs higher, Cleopatra's final gambit is already taking shape, even as enemy swords draw near. Outside the palace, Alexandria erupts in chaos. Octavian's forces breach the city gates. Roman soldiers flood the streets, and Egyptian resistance crumbles. Mark Antony, Cleopatra's lover and general, leads a last, desperate stand with a handful of loyal men. If Antony can push the enemy back, perhaps there is hope. But hope fades quickly. At the harbor, Cleopatra's fleet hoists sail, not to fight, but to surrender. In a stunning betrayal, her navy lowers its Egyptian flags and raises Roman standards. Moments later, her remaining cavalry also capitulates. Everything is lost. He staggers back to the palace, spirit in ruins. When Cleopatra hears the news, her survival instinct ignites. Alexandria has fallen. Antony is defeated. Octavian is at her doorstep. She flees into her mausoleum, sealing the heavy stone door behind her. Inside the vault, accompanied by two faithful handmaidens, Cleopatra is surrounded by the riches of her kingdom. If the Romans try to break in, she is prepared to torch everything and perish in the flames. Above, in the palace, Antony frantically searches for Cleopatra. He is told she has taken her own life inside the sealed tomb, a cruel lie Cleopatra arranged. Believing his queen dead, Antony is devastated. Overcome by grief and guilt, he falls on his sword. A message soon reaches Cleopatra. Antony yet lives, gravely wounded and calling for her. Shocked and desperate, she orders the mausoleum door opened. The dying Antony is hauled inside. He is covered in blood and barely alive. Cleopatra cradles him on the stone floor. In broken gasps, Antony implores her not to trust Octavian. Cleopatra nods through tears, though in her heart she knows she will never surrender. With a final whisper of love, Mark Antony dies in her arms. Cleopatra presses a trembling kiss to Antony's forehead. Her world has collapsed entirely. Alexandria is lost, and Antony is gone. Cleopatra stands utterly alone amid ruin. Octavian approaches. Will he show mercy? Or can the defeated queen still defy her fate? Octavian's soldiers capture Cleopatra soon after. Octavian enters Alexandria like a man claiming a prize. Knowing Cleopatra's cunning, he stations guards, led by his freedman Epaphroditus, to watch her every move and prevent any attempt at suicide. He wants her alive at all costs. Under heavy guard, Cleopatra is brought before Octavian. This is the man who destroyed everything she loved. Still, she stands tall. Octavian greets her with a cool smile and no fanfare. Cleopatra meets his gaze and does not bow. In a low, even voice, she declares, "I will not be led in a triumph," she says, refusing to be paraded as a captive in Rome. Octavian's expression barely changes as he responds that her life will be spared, nothing more. In that moment, Cleopatra understands his cruel intent. He will drag her to Rome in defeat, no matter what she wants. In the days that follow, Cleopatra tries to sway Octavian. First, she appeals to his reason, then to his heart. She reminds him of their connection through Julius Caesar. She flatters and even flirts. But Octavian cannot be charmed. The wiles that once captivated Caesar and Antony have no effect on him. He remains unmoving. It becomes clear he will never let her remain a queen. He will never spare her children. Every kindly word he offered was an illusion. A loyal servant secretly brings Cleopatra a dire warning. Octavian plans to send her to Rome in golden chains, the centerpiece of his victory parade. Cleopatra's blood runs cold. To a Ptolemaic queen, such humiliation is a fate worse than death. Octavian's promise of mercy was a trap. He would grant her life only to display her as a living trophy. Cleopatra outwardly pretends to accept her fate. She thanks Octavian for his kindness and acts subdued. But inside, her soul burns. Once she commanded armies, now she is a prisoner. In this darkest moment, Cleopatra's resolve hardens. No one will save her but herself. Facing the end of her reign, Cleopatra now prepares one last, irreversible act. Back in her quarters, Cleopatra readies herself. She requests a bath and a sumptuous final meal, claiming she wants a few comforts in her sorrow. The guards, thinking her spirit broken, grant these indulgences. Cleopatra bathes and perfumes herself, then dons her most magnificent robes of purple and gold. Upon her head she sets the jeweled royal diadem of the pharaohs. If she must die, she will die as a queen, not as a prisoner. When dinner arrives, Cleopatra carries a basket of figs into her private chamber with her handmaidens, Iris and Charmian. The guards have inspected it and found nothing amiss, but hidden beneath the ripe fruit coils, a small asp, the venomous serpent that will set her free. Once alone, Cleopatra reveals the asp. The women exchange steady nods. They know what comes next. Cleopatra takes up pen and papyrus and writes a short note to Octavian. In it, she thanks him for his mercy and asks to be buried next to Antony. The letter is sealed and sent. Cleopatra knows that when Octavian reads her final request, he will understand what she has done. By then, it will not matter. In the silent chamber, Cleopatra reaches into the fig basket and lifts out the asp. The cobra's tongue flickers in the lamplight. Her heart pounds. She presses the asp against her bare arm. The snake strikes. A sharp pain and venom enters her flesh. Cleopatra lets the asp slip from her fingers and sinks onto a couch as the poison works through her blood. Iris and Charmian will not let their queen die alone. Determined, they also partake in the deadly plan. Whether by the same asp or a swift poison draft, they choose to follow their mistress in death. Cleopatra feels a spreading chill, but also an overwhelming sense of relief. Her vision blurs and her limbs grow heavy. She has done it. Octavian's triumph will be denied. No Roman will ever parade Cleopatra as a chained prize. With her last strength, Cleopatra composes herself. She lies back among soft cushions and drapes one arm gracefully over her abdomen. Charmian, though already fading, uses her final moments to straighten the crown on Cleopatra's brow. The queen's eyes grow distant. A soft smile forms on her lips. With one final sigh, Cleopatra Seventh, the Queen of Egypt, slips into darkness. The deed is done. Cleopatra has taken fate into her own hands. What will Octavian find when his men burst through the door? The end of an era approaches, and a queen's final act is about to shake the world. When Octavian's men finally rush to Cleopatra's chambers, they break down the doors and are confronted by a haunting sight. Cleopatra lies on her bed, regally adorned in death. Eris lies dead at her feet, and Charmian, in her final moments, straightens the queen's crown before she too collapses. Egypt's sovereign is dead by her own hand. Octavian arrives and simply stares. This is not the ending he envisioned. His living trophy has slipped away. Enraged at being denied, he even summons snake charmers to try to revive her. But it is too late. Octavian swallows his anger and orders Cleopatra's body to be treated with honor. He grants her final wish. Cleopatra is buried beside Mark Antony. The people of Alexandria watch in awe as their queen is laid to rest. On this day, a legend is born from the ashes of a dynasty. In the aftermath, Octavian swiftly consolidates power. He orders Caesarion, Cleopatra's eldest son, killed, ending the Ptolemaic royal line. Her remaining children are sent to Rome. Egypt becomes a province of the Roman Empire, and the era of the pharaohs comes to an end. Cleopatra refused to be a trophy in a Roman triumph. Surrounded by defeat and betrayal, she seized power in one final choice: the freedom to shape her own fate. Her death marked the end of an empire and the birth of a legend. History remembers her not as a captive in chains, but as the proud queen who bowed to no one. With one courageous act of defiance, Cleopatra ensured her story would echo through eternity.